At 1:37 a.m., my phone vibrated on the coffee table, and I almost ignored it because nothing good ever comes in after midnight. Then I saw the sender, hospital portal. I was still half asleep when I opened it, and then I wasn't anymore. My nephew's name was at the top. Noah, 10 years old. Diagnosis updated. Guarantor changed. Address? Mine. I sat up so fast my neck cracked. The timestamp said 11 minutes ago. I hadn't touched anything. From the bedroom down the hall, I heard Noah start coughing, that dry, hollow cough that makes kids freeze between breaths. I stood there, staring at the screen, when something else registered. A suitcase by my front door, scuffed, gray. Not mine. I knew who it belonged to before I moved. I stood there with my phone in my hand longer than made sense, like if I didn't move, nothing else would change. The screen dimmed and I tapped it back on, reread the same lines, like maybe I'd missed something the first 3 times. Guarantor changed. Address updated. My address. The room felt wrong. Too quiet except for Noah's breathing cutting in and out behind the bedroom door. I went down the hall and pressed my ear to the door. I don't know why. I'd done it before when he was sick, counting in my head, stopping when I lost track. I pushed the door open when the silence went too long. He was sitting up, hands on his knees, staring at the wall like he was waiting for someone to tell him what to do. His cheeks were hot. The humidifier was empty and clicking like it was still trying. I filled it at the sink because standing still felt bad. When I came back, he asked if his mom had texted. I said not yet. I didn't look at him when I said it. His inhaler was on the nightstand. I picked it up and shook it. Too light. I didn't say anything. I put it back and tucked the blanket tighter around his shoulders like that would fix something. He watched my face while I did it. Kids notice when you lie with your hands. Back in the living room, the suitcase was still by the door. I hadn't imagined it. Gray, scuffed at the corners, zipper pulled all the way closed. I nudged it with my foot. Heavy. I flipped the tag over and saw my sister's handwriting. Her full name. No address. Just that. I didn't open it. Opening it felt like agreeing to something I hadn't been asked about. I sat on the couch and logged into the hospital portal. The password still worked. That shouldn't have surprised me, but it did. The page took forever to load, and my knee started bouncing without me noticing until the coffee table rattled. Caregiver status pending. Responsibility awaiting confirmation. Everything filled in neat and official, like it had always been that way. I clicked through the history. Form viewed. Form accepted. Guardian access transferred. All late at night. All while Noah was asleep in the next room. I scrolled back farther and saw missed payments marked yellow, not red yet, a warning color. I opened my bank app without meaning to. The number looked smaller than I expected. I tried to do the math in my head and lost it halfway through. Noah coughed again, worse this time. I grabbed the inhaler and pressed it. Nothing came out. I turned away before he could see my face and said it was fine. It probably just needed rinsing. In the kitchen, I ran it under water longer than necessary, like delay counted as action. My phone buzzed again. Another portal notification. Not a message. A reminder to schedule a follow-up. I stared at the button. Then I pressed it. The appointment locked in without asking me anything else. I didn't sit back down. I unzipped the suitcase. Clothes, shoes, a charger. No toys. No medicine. No paperwork. I zipped it closed and pushed it against the wall. Then I opened my laptop and made a folder with Noah's name. I didn't label it temporary. My phone started going off before it was even light out. Not ringing, buzzing, one after another. School email first. Attendance flagged. Medical accommodation expired. Then a voicemail from the pharmacy. I listened to it twice because the words didn't stick the first time. Refill denied. Guardian confirmation required. I stood in the kitchen barefoot on the tile, cold coming up through my feet, holding the phone like it might explain itself if I waited. Noah was already awake, sitting at the table with a bowl of cereal and no milk. He said milk made his stomach hurt lately. Crumbs were stuck to his lip. He asked if he could stay home again because his chest felt tight. I told him we'd see how the morning went. I heard how flat it sounded and couldn't pull it back. I called my sister while the coffee brewed. Straight to voicemail. I didn't leave one. I called again 10 minutes later, same thing. By noon, my stomach felt heavy, like I'd swallowed something that wouldn't move. I drove Noah to urgent care in the afternoon because the wheeze wouldn't settle, and I didn't trust myself to wait. The waiting room smelled like disinfectant and old paper. The receptionist asked me to confirm my relationship to the patient. I paused. Not long, just enough. She looked up. I said aunt. She asked if I had consent to treat. I opened the hospital portal with my hands shaking and showed her the temporary caregiver form with my sister's name on it. She nodded and slid the clipboard across the counter. The pen was slick. I signed where it said responsible party without reading anything else. Noah swung his legs and asked if his mom knew we were there. I said yes. I didn't correct myself. The doctor talked fast, adjusted meds, asked questions like we were a team. I nodded and wrote notes on the back of a receipt because that's what I had. When we got home, there was mail on the floor. 3 envelopes with hospital logos, all addressed to me. I stacked them on the counter and didn't open them. My sister finally texted that night. 1 sentence. I need space. Don't make this harder. My hands shook so bad I almost dropped the phone. I typed 3 different replies and erased them all. Noah called for me in the bathroom because the steam made him dizzy. I sat on the toilet lid, watching the water creep up the tub, making sure he didn't slump forward. He asked if he could still see his mom on his birthday next month. I said we'd talk about it later. My jaw hurt after. After he was asleep, I opened the envelopes. Numbers blurred together. Past due, payment plan options. My name printed where hers used to be. I logged into my bank account and moved money between accounts just to see if I could. I canceled a streaming service, then another. The house felt too quiet without the TV, but I left it off. Near midnight, an email came from the school counselor asking to schedule a meeting about long-term support. The wording didn't ask if I'd be there, it just wrote me in. I stared at it, closed the laptop, opened it again, and replied, okay. The meeting with the school counselor was in a room with no windows and chairs that scraped loud against the floor. She talked slow, like I might interrupt her, and slid a stack of papers across the table. Long-term plan, emergency pickup, medical notes. She asked if Noah's mother would be joining us. I said no and kept writing. My hand cramped halfway through my last name, and I shook it out under the table so she wouldn't see. After that, things didn't explode. They just shifted. The pharmacy stopped calling and started emailing. Insurance stopped sending warnings and started sending statements that looked almost normal. One morning, I logged into the portal and my role said primary instead of temporary. No confetti, no message, just a word change. I stared at it and then closed the page because Noah was asking where his other shoe went. Time didn't move in a straight line after that. Some weeks dragged, some vanished. Noah learned which stairs made his chest burn less and started taking them 2 at a time. I learned which bills could wait and which couldn't. I learned how long I could leave my phone face down before the quiet felt dangerous. My sister stayed gone. No calls, no explanations. Every once in a while, her name would pop up somewhere old and my stomach would tighten, and then nothing would happen. I stopped checking. Years passed without anyone announcing it. Noah got taller, his voice dropped, the inhalers changed colors. I stopped writing things down and started remembering them. One day, I realized I hadn't opened the folder on my laptop in a long time. I didn't delete it. I just didn't need it every day anymore. She showed up again at Thanksgiving, at my parents' house, like nothing had been paused. She wore a watch that caught the light when she moved her hand and laughed too loud. She asked if anyone had heard from that sick kid she left with me. She said it like a joke. I didn't answer because the front door opened behind me. Noah walked in carrying a pie he'd bought himself. He had a work badge clipped to his jacket. He set the pie down and stood there. My sister stared too long, said his name wrong the first time, then laughed and corrected herself like it didn't matter. Noah reached into his pocket and pulled out an envelope. Inside were copies, court papers, orders, things she'd ignored because she thought no one would bother. Someone had. Slowly, quietly. She started talking fast about misunderstandings and timing and how hard things were back then. Noah waited until she ran out of words. Then he said payments would be deducted automatically and contacts would go through attorneys. His voice didn't shake. After everyone left and the dishes were stacked wrong because I didn't care, Noah stood in my kitchen and asked if he could leave the paperwork there for a while. He didn't want to carry it back. I said yes and put it in a drawer I didn't open again. Later, alone, I opened my laptop. The folder with his name was still there. Thick, years of it. I deleted it. Nothing dramatic happened. The house stayed quiet. I sat there longer than I meant to and noticed my hands weren't shaking anymore. That was the part I didn't expect.